my name is Victoria Caña, and I am a lead producer at Riot Games, where I'm working on an unannounced R&D project. I'm also the co-founder and a game designer at Cat Quartet Games, which is an indie board game publishing company. I would say, well, initially it started out because like when you want to start a company, you want to work with other people who you know that you work well with. And so my husband and I, we have very supplementary skills. We both really like game design. And when it comes to self-publishing a game, there are lots of different elements to it. Like there's marketing, there's art direction and stuff like that. And so it was very easy for us to work together because we were near each other anyway, and we had a common interest. And then when it came to working with my sister, I pulled her in because we needed a graphic designer. And at the time, she was in college studying graphic design. And she actually didn't play a lot of board games initially, but we had her join the hobby, and now she's really into it. She even worked at a board game cafe while she was in college because she liked it so much. That's a good question. Well, the good news is that at least the work that we're doing, it's fun. At least it's making a game. It involves playing a lot of different games. And so the way that we approached it was similar to doing lots of other activities. Like this is a team effort. Like we're trying to promote our game, we're trying to go to conventions and demo together, and we try to view working on the game as a way to also spend more time together. So I don't really think that we necessarily separated it unless there was a particular decision that we needed to make, like a business decision about the direction of the game or how we would make it. And in those particular cases, we would try to work it out as logically as possible and think about, hey, what are our goals for this particular game? What are the options? And then talk through how to move forward. Oh, sure. So the game it's Hazel the Plant Witch, and that was a game that me and a friend and then some other group of people that she knew from around the world. I think like one person was from Chile, another person was from somewhere in Europe. Yeah, they're from all over the place. And I don't think she'd ever met them in person, but we participated in the GM48 Game Jam. It's for like a software called Game Maker that you can use to make like different digital games. And the way that the Game Jam works is typically a theme is voted on from a bunch of different themes. And that particular year, the theme that got chosen was Watch Them Grow. And what happened was we had a little brainstorming session where we took that idea, Watch Them Grow, and we were trying to think like what could be an interesting game. At the same time, my friend had this idea where she wanted to test out a mechanic where you could record what other people would say and use that for something. And it was also in October, so it was kind of like Halloween. And so we pitched a bunch of different ideas, and it turned out to be, we ended up with a game where you play as a witch who's able to talk to plants using like this magical device. And the entire game centered around talking to plants, getting different pieces of what they would say, and then trying to use those recorded phrases to unlock dialogue puzzles with other players or with other NPCs that you encountered in the game. And so we did it over the course of 3 days, and because of the time, it was a real forcing function. It was just like write the story, just like come up with it. So it was me and another person who was a sound designer. We just like wrote the story, and we would like stay up until midnight trying to write the dialogue in it. That's a good question. I think it comes up in a lot of different ways. So there are these people typically talk about different types of design. There's top-down design, where you come up with an idea for a particular thematic or a story, and then you try to design mechanics around the particular theme or story. There's also bottom-up design, where you start with really cool mechanical hooks or like mechanics ideas, and then you build the game up from there, and then you try to add a narrative or like a story or a theme on top of it. And then there's also like middle across game design, which is you start somewhere in the middle. Maybe you have like some theme ideas, some mechanic ideas, and like the game gets fleshed out in that particular way. And I would say that for me, it's a lot of the last one that I said, like the middle across, where sometimes there'll be an idea of a particularly interesting thematic that's appealing to me, or maybe there's like a particular mechanic that I think is cool. And I try to just think about, well, what if it was like this? And generate a bunch of different ideas and prototype them until I see that one of them has potential. And I think that's the tough part because you don't really know which ones will have potential and which ones will really be fun until you actually like build it and try to have people play it. Um, and to some degree, you can try to imagine it in your head. Like, would this be fun? Would I actually want to like go through these different motions and would I find this engaging? Oh, I would say that you should just try, like, don't be afraid to try making your own game. I think that sometimes it can seem a little bit intimidating, but you can always start by taking a game that you love and modifying it a little bit. And that's a way that you can dip your toe in the water and learn a little bit about game design. Uh, and then after that, try making your entirely own game. Give yourself some constraints, like set a deadline. Hey, over the next 2 weeks, I want to design a prototype, and I want this game to be about this and like have these potential constraints, just to see what you can create. And I think it's similar to a lot of other artistic pursuits. Like I used to be into writing. I liked creative writing, and the advice that they always gave was just write every single day, even if the things that you write are garbage, because a lot of times the way that good books are written is you write a really awful first draft and then you revise it a lot until it eventually becomes something that is good and that people will enjoy. And I think that games are like that a lot as well. You have to get over the initial self-criticism and fear of putting something out that's bad and just get comfortable with sometimes it's going to be bad, sometimes it's going to be like mediocre, sometimes it'll be good. But the more important part is the process of just getting it out there and then working on it, working on the game, improving it until it gets into a state where it's like a fun, playable game.